This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, and I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick. What's up?
Hey, John. Thanks for joining us when I know you're on the verge of death right now.
Yeah, doctors said stay off of your feet. I didn't even go to work today, so.
I think that's a good plan. I do that too, but work only gives us personal time as opposed to actual sick leave.
Yeah. So. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone, we've got a new X-Men movie coming out soon. In fact, by the time you hear this, it'll be out in the next 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Amazing, huh?
Yes. Yeah, and basically, I don't know, John, have you seen the trailers for it?
I've seen trailers for X-Men First Class. You mean, right?
Yes, X-Men
yes.
First Class. Mm-hmm. And it's well, I'm probably one of the few people who actually say that they enjoyed X-Men. It's like X-Men: The Last Stand. Mm-hmm. I mean, I liked seeing Professor X in there. At one point in the movie, I turned to my buddy and said, "Dude, it's like they're doing Ultimate Professor X since they're doing he's much more Shades of Grey morality right there." And I liked some the action scenes in there. I like seeing Magneto mess with the Golden Gate Bridge, and I think I also liked seeing Beast in there as well. I mean, Kelsey Grammer did a great job with that, and all the people who came back Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry. Ian McKellen and, of course, Patrick Stewart. I think they did a good job. I mean,
comparing the three of them together, I would say that it's the weakest entry in that trilogy, but it's not, for me, disappointing. I enjoyed the film.
Yeah, it's the main issue is they didn't really give it time to breathe. I mean, it's a very generally pretty short movie. It's about a little over an hour and a half, and when they're trying to do the whole Dark Phoenix storyline. I mean, I don't know. It's without giving the entire movie over to that plot line, you're just not going to do it justice.
Exactly.
Yeah, but still, it's I mean, I've seen the trailers for First Class, and I think it looks fantastic. I mean, it's it looks like they got a good handle on the characters. They got a great setup for the story, and it's looks like a lot smarter, more intelligent than the previous one, especially since you've got Bryan Singer coming back in an executive producer role.
Yes.
And you've got Matthew Vaughn, the director of Kick-Ass, taking over directing duties this time.
Yeah, the gentleman you mentioned earlier, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, slipped my mind. But he was the one who directed the first two X-Men films, correct?
Yes, Bryan Singer.
Bryan Singer, right? That was it.
Yeah, he was almost set to direct this one, but I think his commitments to his Jack the Giant Killer movie, I precluded that. I've heard rumors that if they ever get around to doing an X4, he'd come back for that, but we'll see. But still, the thing is though that X-Men First Class is actually probably the first X-Men movie to actually take its title from one of the comic books. Now the X-Men First Class series, it's not really it's kind of like the X-Men's answer to the all ages Marvel titles that they've been doing over the years. They've had Marvel Adventures Spider-Man, Marvel Adventures Hulk, Marvel Adventures Avengers, all that stuff. And so basically they're offering continuity light story set in the origin, set with the original cast back in essentially the it's when the characters are first around. But though in this case though it's basically with Marvel's continuity, basically all Marvel continuity is kind of funny in the way that while DC's always been the idea so they have to reboot continuity every decade or so to keep their things current. Marvel's always been continuity's always been all this stuff it happened about 10 years ago. So even though the X-Men have been around since the 60s, continuity wise they've really only been around for about 10, 15 years or so. And that's that bears out in this in this collection I got. X-Men First Class Tomorrow's Bride. This is by writer Jeff Parker and artist Roger Cruz. Even though I love the X-Men, I really wasn't that interested in this series. It's basically we're just going ahead and retelling just old just doing the stories of the original X cast. This stuff that has no real. There's cute done in one stories designed to appeal to an all ages audience, and doesn't really have any real impact or on the regular X continuity. continuity. So I figured, it's like it's all right, but no, I'm not gonna like pick out. I got better things to do with my time. But since the movie was coming out, I figured I'd go ahead and pick up this first volume, which collects the first 8 issues. And much to my surprise, this is actually quite fun. I mean, it's not an essential volume by any means, but it does a good job of offering like fun all ages stories that will appeal to both your kids and like the long time X fan in you, because you've got basically the 5 core X series. You got Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Iceman, Beast, and Angel, and with Professor X leading them around. They just have like fun like team up adventures as they go with various heroes and villains of the Marvel universe. I mean, the first story has them finding out the real deal behind an alien menace. It's like in the Antarctic. Then next issue has them going out to hunt the Spider-Man villain, the Lizard, in the Florida Everglades. And it has some subsequent stories like going into Professor X's mind to try and get him out of this recursive loop he's stuck in. Also, then you got Iceman and the rest of the crew teaming up with Thor to fight off a storm giant. Then they meet up with Doctor Strange to get this demon that's been following them around. I mean, it just follows that kind of thing. I mean, it's like they're not like groundbreaking, earth-shattering stories by any means, but they're fun. I mean, and Parker does a great job like bringing like lots of wit and humor to the proceedings. I mean, I like how the first issue is basically like narrated by Bobby, and you can see him form some ice, like some ice knives like Wolverine, saying, "Hey, check out this! I should have formed these all the time. How cool would that be?" "Oh, please, big claws would be ridiculous," is Jean Grey's reply. And then you've also got, and also like he plays against like certain expectations, like with when at one point in the second issue, which is pretty much my favorite for the most part, Beast and Angel wind up going out into the swamp to track down the Lizard, and while they're trudging through the swamp, their scenes are intercut with Jean Grey, Scott Summers, and Bobby Drake just living it up in in Angel's mansion, just like having the time of their lives while these two suffer out in the swamp. But while they're out in the swamp, Angel goes, why am I concerned about these guys? Like, Scott's so uptight, he's just gonna be making the 2 of them just run drills the entire time. The next panel basically has the 3 of them on the beach going, "Hey Drake, my drink is getting warm again. Not while I'm on the job." And Iceman gets conjures up some ice cubes right out of the air. It's a fun moment, and the series is packed with scenes like that. I mean, it's not an essential volume to the X-Men mythos by any means, but if you're looking for a fun tie-in series, and really, if you're looking to get your kids started on the X-Men, it's like I go and recommend this. Just keep in mind that the volume you want is Tomorrow's Brightest. Marvel has also released an X-Men First Class collection that's digest size, and it collects first of the 5 of the 8 issues collected here. And while it's cheaper, this one I'd say for the $20 it costs, less if you get it through Amazon like I did, it's definitely better value. So like I said, it's highly recommended. While X-Men First Class doesn't adapt a specific story, I think this is a fun tie-in, worth picking up for X fans, and just like if you want to see what the whole just to go back to a simpler time in X continuity. Speaking of which, though, because originally my plan for this podcast was to think about what I had the great idea of what was to be the what would be a good X story to turn into a movie, and well, the thing is my knowledge of it, I like to think my knowledge of X continuity is fairly extensive. It's still nowhere near the realm that someone like Paul O'Brien, who does the X-axis, it is. I started looking. I mean, you can't, because the thing is a lot of the stuff has already been taken by the movies. You can't do Dark Phoenix Saga because you already had Phoenix going bad in X-Men: The Last Stand. You can't do God Loves, Man Kills, because that was generally touched on in X-Men 2. Then then I'm looking through all the other stuff I got. I mean, you can't do something like Inferno, which basically has Mr. Sinister and and the Fiends of Limbo teaming up to take down taking on the X-Men, because that's just too weird and too not very X-Men-y to be perfectly right, be perfectly true. Then there's also Extinction Agenda, which you can't do because no one's introduced Cable, Bishop, and just about a lot, and most of the characters in there. Same goes for Messiah Complex in the recent crossovers like Messiah Complex or Second Coming. It's too mired in current X continuity for for you to do anything from there. And same thing goes with particular runs. I mean, a lot of the X runs by certain X writers just have kind of they don't really have a definitive beginning, middle, and end. Grant Morrison's run does, but his stuff probably would be enough to make an entire trilogy in and of itself, provided you get someone who could really wrap their heads around what he does right there. That being said, one thing I've always thought about seeing is a good X Factor movie. Now, X Factor, I might have mentioned before, is it's basically X Factor has existed in several incarnations throughout its run. It originally started off as being a book for the original X-Men characters, the ones I just talked about for First Class, to be in the spotlight again. Then later on it morphed on into being the government-run X team. But in between that time as a government-run team and its incarnation now, it's basically been Peter David's book to write about X stories. And for a while, this current incarnation was the one X book I would recommend that people who just generally can't really get into X-Men titles. It doesn't really deal with a whole lot of the main X continuity, and they're just really entertaining stories in of itself. Particularly in its focus on one Jamie Madrox, the Multiple Man. David has done a great job by making the character into a very interesting protagonist, as his power to just make duplicates of himself is just showing hey, here's a guy who can do anything he wants, but because he can do anything he wants, he as a person doesn't have to go in any direction himself. Now, John, you've seen The Last Stand, and you know that Madrox showed up very briefly in one of the scenes right there.
Mm.
Yeah, because remember he was the government was closing in on Magneto's camp, and they finally found out that wait, it was just Madrox duplicating himself.
It's been a while since I've seen that film, so I'm having a hard time placing that scene.
Okay. Because the thing is, I want to
Is that the time? That wasn't when they were tracking him down? That wasn't when Wolverine was also in the forest as well.
No, it was just the government. It was just the government making their own play to try and take down Magneto.
Ah, gotcha. All right. Yeah, boy, I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay, well, no biggie. But basically the thing is see, I picture my X Factor movie just starting up from that point right there. I mean, you've got Jamie in custody taken into custody by the government because he's a known associate of Magneto, and I figure doing Jamie's I'm just doing Jamie's just doing his thing hey, I just hear because Magneto, because I figured just about Magneto, and you can play him sort of hey sort of it's just morally ambiguous for initially, but then he finds out that turns out my big plan to have Magneto didn't pan out because Magneto's missing in action now after the events of the third movie. So what does he do? Finds a way to escape, and then after he winds up escaping, he finds himself encountering Mr. Sinister. Now, Sinister is one of the A-list X-Men villains. At least he was until his untimely death, for now anyway, in the Messiah Complex crossover. Now, the way I picture Sinister existing in the movie universe is basically a guy who immensely powerful mutant, both in terms of his shape-shifting ability and psychokinetic powers. But the thing is, he initially would have made his play to just try and take over the world, but he would eventually be stopped by by Charles and Xavier. You can't have like this guy taking over the world when they're trying to change it for the better. This might be completely invalidated this approach might be completely invalidated once First Class comes out, but just bear with me. So Sinister has basically spent the last several decades underground, just biding his time, like watching Xavier and Eric, or Magneto, just drifting apart, but biding because he knows if he shows his head, they're going to team up to put him down again. Now that they're out of the way, Sinister has got his plans to slowly. So he likes being behind the scenes now. He wants to just find a way to take over the mutant community and use it for his own ends. Because he's basically his character is basically a geneticist. He wants to understand like how mutants work and find a way to manipulate the X gene to get the powers he wants, and just be all powerful as a result. The way he does this is by using Magneto's son, Quicksilver, who most people will be familiar with from from regular continuity, as kind of like a figurehead for a new mutant movement. He figures if he can control Quicksilver, he can basically take over the world. And if he's got Madrox on hand to just use for infinitely indispensable manpower, so he's got his plan set. Problem is well, Jamie's cool with this because I'm doing something. It's like I got nothing better to do. It's like, hey, I'm helping out mutants, just defeat the dirty humans and all. Problem comes on two fronts. One is our government, who has been keeping tabs on Sinister, but really can't do anything about it, because if they do, they'll just show up and get their ass kicked. This is now. All right, excuse me for a second. I basically have to mention how casting worked in this. Basically, I figure Jim Carrey as Jimmy Madrox, because Madrox has been, under Peter David, has been like a huge practical joker, someone who's like always like trying to see the lighter side of things, and Carrey, he's not only can the man act, and while he's primarily a comedic actor, the man does have a serious side that he can tap into, which I think would work great when delving into the moral ambiguity of the situation. But also it'd be fun to. I think it'd be fun to see him play games himself, like as he it's like as he basically winds up being straight man to all of his other duplicates. Now, the thing is, you got the government on one side, with Val Cooper, one of the X-Book's long-standing government liaisons. She'd be played by Sigourney Weaver, because Sigourney's like awesome like that, and I think she can produce the right mix of a character who basically believes that A, their side is the right side, and B, their side is also the winning side as well. So basically, she's going to try and convince him that working with Sinister is bad, is bad news, because we don't want him there. But also she's going to have pressure from the other side, basically the regular mutants, and this be portrayed by regular X Factor members, Wolfsbane and Strong Guy. As they've been regular X Factor members, and I figure having them in the film will provide good continuity. Plus Strong Guy, or Guido Carosella, as you know in the series, he's a great bit of comic relief, and Wolfsbane, she wants to be in the team's moral compass without being overly sanctimonious about it. So I think that'd be a good mix to have right there. And while I haven't really got the whole climax plot of that, I would say that it's eventually gonna eventually Madrox realizes that once I have specifically planned out, it's basically as Jamie's trying to recover something for Sinister, he winds up being trapped in an elevator with this one reporter who's basically wants to get the inside story on what Sinister's planning. Now this would give Carrey a great chance to just go completely over the top and mug as an evil mutant, and he also winds up giving Mr. Sinister his name. I work for Mr. Sinister, and because the thing is, I imagine because Sinister's real name is Nathaniel Essex, and he wouldn't have used Mr. Sinister at all, just because he's he views himself as being above silly code names. But once Madrox gets this bit out onto the new airways, like everyone starts referring to Essex as Mr. Sinister, and Sinister does not like that at all, and so he basically shows Jamie what he can do to one of his duplicates just to keep him in line. That, combined with more pressure from all of his friends, that's what's going to finally turn him on to the side of good. Big fight ensues. Sinister is defeated, but the door is, of course, left open for his eventual return in the third movie, of course. And and after that, Jamie decides, well, what am I going to do with my life? So he basically sends off, makes call of his dupes, you're going to South America, you're going to Japan, you're going to Russia, you're going to Europe somewhere. And hey, just go there, live a life, and then bring back some new experiences. So that's where things lead, because for the second movie, I should probably start wrapping things up soon, because basically, one of the things I've liked about David's run, especially his most recent run with the series, is how Madrox's dupes basically he's wound up doing, sending them out to accrue so much knowledge that they've wound up having their own personalities as well. So while his duplicates in the first one would just be kind of slivers of his own conscience, these ones in the second movie would just be they're almost their own individuals as well. So he'd want to just get into arguments with himself. And I figure if anyone can handle just getting into an argument with yourself over something, Jim Carrey could be able to handle that. But for the second movie, the plot would be, and I think this is something that I'd like to see, and I hope they pick for any X-Men movie, because the thing is, mutants are always shown to be hated and feared. We've got one of the things, there's always going to be this small segment of society who's going to look at mutants and say, dude, that's cool. How do I get my own healing factor, or beams that shoot out of my eyes, or wings on my back, or shape-shifting abilities? What do I have to do to become a mutant? And that's where John Sublime comes in. John Sublime was a villain who basically did exactly that during Grant Morrison's run on the series, and he basically wound up harvesting mutant abilities for his own ends, basically to make the U-Men, basically humans who have been augmented with harvested mutant abilities. And I figure that this is, it's kind of exciting. It's not really he's not really trying to make this a huge world. Well, okay, maybe he is trying to take over the world, but still, he's doing this by giving mutant mutanity a public face, something you can't just show up and hit and defeat by hitting him. So by doing this legitimately, this is when the government obviously asked Madrox and the rest of his friends to go in and take him down from the inside. Now, let's see, that's my plot sketch, but it sounded like what I like to see. I mean, personally, I realize there's no chance of this ever happening, despite just the fact that I'm sure Fox is hungry for X-Men spin-offs. I mean, we've already had I had one Wolverine movie which was kind of crap. Well, I've heard the second. Yes, John.
No, nothing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's because you agree the first Wolverine movie was kind of crap, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Though I've heard that the script for the second one is actually supposed to be really good. It's just that now they don't have a director after Darren Aronofsky dropped out.
Ah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I'd like to see this, but I realize the odds of it, or odds of seeing it in action, are ultimately kind of small. Still, a fanboy can dream.
Hmm.
Yeah, and on that note, it's probably good time to go and wrap things up. And it's I just want to say that, hey, I certainly hope X-Men First Class is as good as the trailers make it out to be, and also just hope it lives up to the legacy of the first two movies. I like the third one. Really, it's the second one that's really easily the best of the three. Still, and then one of the rare sequels that is better than the original.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. Indeed. Okay, and hey, because we're in that time of the year, I'll see you back in 2 weeks when I talk about something Green Lantern related.
All right.
Yeah, because I know that like DC's all set for you to like eat that up as their answer to Iron Man. But hey, we'll see how that works. Because like, all right, everyone, you take it easy.
All right, see you later. Bye.